Today, we're in the Museum of Modern Art in New York to look at one of the most famous exhibits, Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. This landscape painting was originally painted in a room of an asylum called St. Paul de Massoya, located in southern France in the small province of St. Remy's. This exquisite painting was created during the June of 1889, only a year before his fateful death in 1890. The impression that it leaves people is immense and indescribable in many ways. Its thick and fast brushstrokes seem to have been made from a madman. The sky seems to be made from a figment of his imagination. However, that is not the case. In fact, the sky was actually something he probably saw out of his window during his time in the asylum. The immense swirl in the middle of the painting was actually a nebula. The huge white circle underneath it was actually Venus, which was unusually bright that day. Even if the masterpiece was based on truth, the painting itself was obviously slightly exaggerated, and also the bottom portion was made up. The cypress tree and the small town it replaces the wall that was in front of him. Aside from those technicalities, the painting itself looks wonderful. You can see the emotion that Vincent has put into creating this masterpiece. The brushstrokes are fast, so fast that part of the canvas is left bare. The intense swirls he creates in this painting, along with such contrast in colors, evokes a sense of intensity. This intensity evoked from the painting feels just like a calm before the storm. Despite the emotions that were poured into the painting, Van Gogh was careful enough to add some structure to the masterpiece. The cypress tree and the steeple on top of the church gives the painting some depth to it, and the seemingly wild and chaotic spiral leads to a vanishing point that is right below the spiral, in between the cypress tree and the steeple. There is also a contrast between the earth and the sky. The earth is filled with houses outlined in black and trees which look like wool. There is a sense of solidity within the earth, whereas the sky swirls and surges. Its bright stars spreads outward like waves. It is intangible, unable to be touched. A similar contrast can be seen in one of Van Gogh's earlier works, called Starry Night on the Rhone, created in September 1888. The painting, however, is the exact opposite of Starry Night. It is the sky filled with pale lighted stars that seem solid and rigid, and it's the earth that radiates waves. The differences between the paintings show the differences between rural life and urban life. Van Gogh displays the differences between urban life and rural life by contrasting the brightness of the stars. One is pale, the other is bright. One is spoiled by light pollution of street lamps in the city, and the other is untouched, unspoiled, and glorified. In a way, it seems that Van Gogh dislikes the city and prefers rural life. He sympathizes with the commoners. During his early life, he did work for the evangelization of the poor and even started a ministry with the miners in Borinage, which is in Belgium. He looked up to his father, Theodorus, and even tried to follow in his footsteps. He only later came back into art because of his brother Theo. Not only does this masterpiece show his fondness towards peasants, it also shows his other inner thoughts as well. Van Gogh was a tortured man, who probably wanted nothing more than to end his existence, which he did do a year later. The cypress tree, which evokes a feeling of death, seems to connect the mortal realm with the heavens, like a bridge. Maybe he sees death as the route he should take to ascend to the heavens, away from his tortured existence. Through all this, analyzing this masterpiece as much as possible, there seems to be more to be explored. You can see his fondness towards peasants and even his interest in the stars, like many people were in the late 19th century. But can you truly understand his thoughts? Maybe it doesn't represent his thoughts of death as a way to heaven. Maybe he thinks that the cypress tree, which symbolizes death, is looming over the peasants, and the divine celestial beings that are above them are ready to protect them. We will never know what he truly thinks. Despite not knowing the exact meaning behind such great artwork, we can still appreciate the beauty of the artwork itself, its thick brushstrokes, and the contrasting colors, evoking many emotions from the audience. Thank you for your time.